Make every night a wonderful journey, no matter where you are. Good night, sweet dreams. The first story, mirror, 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 on the wall, mirrors, that one word sends shivers down my spine. This is a story that changed my opinion of mirrors. You may not believe what I'm about to tell you, but it's a true story, and would be horrifying if you were in my shoes at that moment. I was sitting at home on a winter day on December 20th. No one was home except me. I was sitting in the living room when I heard a crash from upstairs. I put my book carefully on the oval, glass coffee table. HELLO. I had called out knowing no one was going to answer, and feeling like an idiot when I had gotten no response. I was shaking as I slowly made my way up the creaking staircase. Hello? I said quietly, more to myself than anyone else. Ada was lying on the floor, my eyes widened in horror because it was the bathroom door. How am I going to use the bathroom now? I asked myself. I carefully stepped over the door and went straight into the bathroom. I didn't bother to turn on the lights. I stared around the bathroom. Nothing was messed up, so I turned to leave. But something in the mirror caught my eye. I looked very closely at it, and noticed that there was an oval-shaped mirror behind me as well. So I turned around, but there was no mirror behind me. When I looked back at the mirror in front of me, I saw a girl my age staring back at me, except she had blonde hair stuck to her face, with the creepiest grin on her lips. Mirror, mirror, on this wall, who'll be the next one in this room to fall? Mirror, mirror, is it you? She sang in a raspy voice and pointed at me. I screamed loudly, then ran out of the bathroom and went running down the steps. And guess what happened? I fell down the damn stairs. But I wasn't injured badly. My head hit the ground very hard. But I really didn't give a shit. I ran outside the house screaming my head off. I yelled what I had seen in the mirror, but, of course, no one believed little kids, so I threw a tantrum and yelled at all the people who passed by, who looked at me like I was a crazy bitch, which I was starting to believe. So I sat outside on the ground until my parents came home. That was the last time I dared go into that bathroom. If I saw that girl again, I might have fallen down the steps. Again. The second story, Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant is one of those little suburban communities that seem to have spilled out across the rural Ontario countryside in recent years. Like many of its breed, it contains an endless procession of tidy, reasonably sized houses neatly lined up by the sides of streets with names like Sunnyview Road, Grover Drive, and Orange Tree Gate. Even the name of the community itself is unspectacular. As a matter of fact, there are 8 different Mount Pleasants in Ontario alone. However, on the morning of March 120, 2008, some of its residents awoke to a bewildering surprise. Alongside a small, sleepy road called Emmett Circle, there appeared to be one more street wide than had illuminated the road the night before. The mysterious lamppost stood as tall and weather-worn as its neighbors. Even the snow around it seemed undisturbed, although curious locals who drew near enough reported hearing a faint, directionless humming when in close proximity to it. Inquiring calls were placed to the local municipality offices, but all were responded to in befuddled tones. It appeared no one had ordered the unusual nighttime installment. The world continued to turn, though, and the sun set on March 12, leaving those who had witnessed the oddity with no more information than they had had at the beginning of the day. March 13 only brought more mystery. There lay only undisturbed, virgin snow, where the perplexing lamppost had stood the evening before. Media and the government workers who had been called down to inspect the peculiarity found nothing, and any investigation ceased, written off for the most part as an elaborate community gag. In the days that followed, another strange occurrence gradually surfaced. Pleading signs and posters began to coat any accommodating surface of the streets. Nearly 15 outdoor cats and dogs, kept as pets in a surrounding radius of about 2 kilometers, were reported missing in the following week. Many of them were last seen sometime between the 11th and the 13th at Y Historical Archive. The third story, Sky Judge, posted on X. In recent years, airlines have started installing video cameras on their planes. For security reasons, of course, there are usually several cameras recording footage from several areas around the plane. Flight attendants view the video feeds on a console that lets them switch between camera views. It's not high quality, 10 frames per second or so at low resolution, but it's better than nothing. There is a particular video being passed around file sharing networks that appears, if it's not a hoax, to be taken from an airplane security camera. The file is often called recovered crash footage, or similar filler names, but the most common title is Sky Judge. The video appears to be reconstructed from incomplete, corrupted data, leaving occasional gaps and jumps. It shows a grainy view of the passenger compartment of an airplane, story, tentatively identified as a Boeing 787. The camera is mounted in the rear of the passenger compartment facing forward, giving a view of about half the seats. In the lower right of the video is a timestamp tracking the action in seconds. This summary is written with those timestamps in mind, not the video's running time. Note that the video does not have sound. 73,213 video begins. The plane is about half full of passengers, all of them seated at this time. Blue sky can be seen out the window, with sunlight at a somewhat shallow angle. 74,745 man in business suit rises from his seat and begins walking to back of plane. 74,756 man in business suit vanishes off bottom of screen. 75,323 flight attendants can be seen pushing beverage cart from front of plane. They begin serving passengers drinks. 75,950 for corrupted video for a moment. 80,933 video returns with a timestamp 10 minutes later. Flight attendants have made their way further along the aisle, but their still visible man in business suit is back in his seat. 81,010 when attendant pours a glass of Veet brown tomato juice from a can. She hands this glass to a woman in a purple dress as she does. A red flash can be seen from the left windows, moving forward the same direction the aircraft is flying. No one notices this flash. 81,032 a young boy in a window seat, estimated 5 years old, unbuckles his seat belt and stands up, pressing his hands to the window and looking at the woman next to him speak sharply to him, finally pulling him down into the seat and forcing him to buckle his seat belt. No one else reacts to this. 81,201 corrupted video. 833. When the video comes back, it continues to be glitchy. The video twists and stutters, sometimes looking like 2 feet superimposed. Sometimes the seats appear to be empty. Sometimes the plane appears to be completely full of passengers. 83,000. For 100 there is one particularly bad glitch at this point. Then the feed returns with the given timestamp. The passenger compartment appearing just as it did earlier. The flight attendants are no longer visible, but all the passengers are. Some viewers variously described as moaning or in pain. 422 flight attendants appear pushing a beverage cart. They begin serving drinks. 84,551 a couple of frames of static. Then the feed returns. Only the scene has a distinct red cast. This lasts for several seconds. 84,559 static. Then feed returns with normal coloring. 84,719. The man in the business suit gets up from his seat. 84,721 static. 84,724 feed returns with the given timestamp. The man in the business suit is no longer visible. 85,408. In-flight attendant pours drink from unidentified can and hands it to the woman in the purple dress. Then there are several frames of corrupted video. 85,418 video returns to show the flight attendant still in the act of handing over a drink. However, careful searching reveals that the young boy who looked out the window is no longer visible. The woman next to him seems unchanged. 90,428 flight attendants vanish off bottom of screen. 90,641 corrupted video. Then feed returns with red cast. 90,643 corrupted video. Then more red. The man's body can be seen near the front of the plane, apparently hanging from a noose. 90,640 for corrupted video. Normal feed returns. 90,850 to corrupted video. For several seconds there appears to be footage of the passengers out of their seats, fighting each other with bare hands. 90,850 for normal feed returns. Man in business suit is once again in his seat. 9:13:11 flight attendants appear from front of the plane, pushing a beverage cart. 91,315 flight attendants vanish. A figure in a black robe moves into view from the back of the plane. It walks toward the front, but hiding its head. 9:13:17 hooded figure vanishes. Flight attendants reappear. This switching repeats every 1 to 2 seconds. The figure moving to the front. Attendants to the rear, they flicker in and out of existence, at one point even appearing to move through each other. 91,329 hooded figure and flight attendants vanish. 91,330 corrupted video. For several seconds face appears very clear this time. Then feed with red light shining through windows. Then normal feed as previous. 91,339 corrupted video for roughly half a second. 91,343 feed returns with later timestamp. Flight attendants and the beverage cart are once again visible. 91,347 flight attendant holds out a cup to the woman in the purple dress. The attendant holds a knife to her own wrist and moves it. 91,348 several seconds of corrupted video. Views of flames. Red face often described as demonic. 101,701 all the passengers are standing up, waving their arms, appearing to shout violently. The hooded figure is near the front of the plane, floating above the ground, face and shoulders past the top of the video frame. Below him, in the aisle, a woman's body lays, tentatively identified as the woman sitting next to the young boy. Her clothes are bloody. She is face down, shaking. 101,703 corrupted video. Feed returns for just a moment, showing passengers sitting in their seats, slumped and unmoving, many displaying violent injuries. Only 3 seconds of this is visible. 112,233 normal feed returns, but no passengers are visible. Plane is completely empty. 112,240 for red light shines in through windows, steadily brightening. After several seconds, the light is so intense that the entire feed is white. A second later, the feed ends.